The most bizarre murder case. You've never heard of Margaret Boschi, a teenager from Springfield, New Jersey. Born on August 3, 1956, was the seventh child in a large Italian Catholic family. Her parents, Florence and Salvador, lived in an affluent suburban area known as Springfield Top. Salvador owned and operated a D&D auto salvage in Newark, while Florence was a homemaker. The family had a reputation for peculiar behavior, with neighbors noting that they rarely left their home and didn't engage with the community. This led to suspicion and gossip within the close-knit town. The Dalmas were also known for constant fights, particularly between Salvador and Florence. Neighbors often called the police, but when officers arrived, Florence would dismiss them, claiming that nothing was wrong. Additionally, there were rumors that Salvador might have connections to the mafia, though this was never confirmed. As Jeanette entered adolescence, she became the subject of local gossip. The community speculated about her being a wild child, and the family's mysterious reputation added to the intrigue surrounding them. The story takes an even darker turn when Jeanette becomes the central figure in an unsolved murder case, making her infamous as the girl on the mountain. The circumstances surrounding her death are shrouded in controversy, with theories ranging from ritual occult murder to being an early example of the satanic panic phenomenon that swept the United States in the 1980s. The case remains unsolved, leaving behind a web of speculation and mystery. Margaret Bandy, a former teacher at Jeanette's high school, shared insights into Jeanette's teenage years, stating, "Judging by what I heard from the other students, she was a little on the wild side." Bandy didn't provide specific details about what wild meant in Jeanette's case, but she implied that it might involve hanging around with boys and engaging in activities like smoking or experimenting with drugs. Bandy's description seems to align with typical rebellious teenage behavior, which, even though considered mild, was frowned upon during that time. Despite this, Jeanette was not involved in hard drugs, adding to the mystery surrounding her reputation in the community. According to various accounts from local residents and law enforcement, Jeanette, also known as Margaret Bandy, was perceived as a bit wild during her teenage years. Former teacher Margaret Bandy mentioned that based on what she heard from other students, Jeanette was on the wild side, which in that context likely meant hanging around boys and possibly experimenting with drugs or smoking. However, this behavior was relatively common for teenagers during that time. Other local residents, who were children at the time, remembered Jeanette being labeled as promiscuous around town. Officer Kish, who worked on Jeanette's case, recalled her being referred to as a party girl by fellow officers after an incident in which she was found in the back of a guy's car in a park. However, later interviews with Officer Donald Schwar contradicted Kish's account, as Schwar claimed not to have heard about Jeanette being a party girl before her murder. Jeanette's friends provided a different perspective, describing her as not perfect, but engaging in typical teenage behavior such as hanging out with boys, smoking cigarettes, and occasionally smoking marijuana. Her friend Grace Darrow portrayed her as sweet, honest, and funny, while other students noted her introverted nature, mentioning that she only spoke when necessary. Despite the various allegations and rumors surrounding Jeanette's behavior, her friends' recollections portrayed her as an average rebellious teenager for the time. It's evident that her mysterious and enigmatic persona led to conflicting accounts from different individuals in the community. As Jeanette entered adolescence, she expressed a desire to devote her life to Christ, indicating a shift back to her Christian values. However, tragedy struck on the afternoon of Monday, August 7, 1972, when Jeanette went missing. The details of her disappearance are vague, with differing accounts and recollections adding to the complexity of the case. Jeanette's cousin, Lisa Gick, shared one perspective, stating that Jeanette's morning started normally but quickly took a downward turn when she learned about Lisa's own month-long disappearance. Jeanette, who wasn't informed earlier about Lisa's situation, was reportedly upset about not being kept in the loop. The discovery of Jeanette De Palma's body raises numerous questions and introduces various conflicting accounts. The circumstances surrounding her disappearance and subsequent death are clouded with uncertainty and speculation. After Jeanette left her home on the night of her disappearance, she made a pit stop at a friend's house before telling her mother that she had a shift at her job at Brooks Department Store, a job that was later revealed to be non-existent. She then hitchhiked to her friend Gail's house, where plans to meet up with two boys were initially canceled due to Jeanette's mother assigning her household chores. Gail, however, managed to convince Jeanette to join them, and this would be the last time Gail heard from her friend. Contradictions arise regarding Jeanette's interactions with her sister Cindy and her friend Gail. Cindy claimed that Jeanette asked her to hang out with Gail and two boys, mentioning her boyfriend Tommy. Gail, however, disputed this claim, stating that Jeanette didn't know anyone named Tommy. The confusion surrounding Jeanette's social connections adds to the complexity of the narrative. The discovery of Jeanette's arm near an apartment complex and the subsequent finding of her decomposed body on Devil's Teeth, a steep hill overlooking a quarry, adds a grim dimension to the story. The condition of her body, partially eaten by animals, made identification challenging. The wooden cross and stone arrangement above her head sparked discussions about potential connections to witchcraft. However, the official autopsy conducted by Dr. Edinburgh, who was criticized for his competence by local officers, did not provide a specific cause of death. Speculation arose around the possibility of strangulation, but no conclusive evidence was presented. The initial response from the Springfield Police Department, suggesting Jeanette had run away, fueled frustration and added to the distress of her family. The discovery of her body led to public speculation and media coverage, further complicating the case. As the investigation into Jeanette De Palma's death continued, it became evident that uncovering the truth would require a thorough examination of conflicting accounts, potential missteps in the autopsy process, and a careful consideration of the circumstances surrounding her mysterious disappearance and demise. In the late 1970s, the mysterious death of 16-year-old Jeanette De Palma in Springfield, New Jersey, raised many questions. The autopsy results were inconclusive, leading to suspicions and rumors. The coroner's competence was questionable, and the police seemed paranoid. Jeanette's clothing, after the autopsy, was hung outside a police building, exposed to the elements for 4 days, which further compromised evidence. Rumors spread when an article linked Jeanette's death to witchcraft and Satan worship, suggesting a possible ritualistic element. This fueled panic in the community, with people locking their doors for the first time. Occult historians, however, dismissed these claims, attributing them to media sensationalism during the prevalent satanic panic of the 1970s. The narrative took a darker turn when rumors of occult connection emerged. The case became entwined with another local tragedy, the List family murders. John List had killed his entire family, and his daughter, Patricia, was associated with witchcraft. This fueled speculation that Jeanette might have fallen victim to a local cult, despite the lack of concrete evidence. Reverend James Tate exploited these fears, gaining popularity by linking Jeanette's death to Satanism. A self-proclaimed witch was even brought to Devil's Teeth Mountain for an investigation. Though nothing came of it, the panic escalated with reports of animal sacrifices and cult activities, all unverified. In October 1972, a man named Terry Rickle implicated a mysterious figure named Red, living in the woods, as Jeanette's killer. However, Red was cleared and disappeared, leaving the case unsolved. Subsequently, another murder, that of Joan Kramer, drew eerie parallels to Jeanette's case, suggesting a potential serial killer. Otto Nelson, a suspect in Joan's murder, was never connected to Jeanette's case. The Springfield Police Department's handling of the case faced criticism, and suspicions of a cover-up arose when records prior to 1995 were allegedly destroyed due to flooding during Hurricane Floyd. To this day, Jeanette De Palma's case remains unsolved, leaving her family without closure. The hope is that renewed attention might lead to justice for Jeanette and other victims of unresolved cases.